Abraham was now very old, and God had blessed him in every way. Abraham's wife Sara had died, and he knew it was time to find a wife for his son Isaac. He called his servant, and he said to him, "I would like for you to go and find a bride for my son, not here in the land of Canaan, but go and find her from among my people in Haran." Abraham's servant was worried. How was he supposed to find the right girl in a land where he didn't know anyone? So he prayed, "Dear Lord, so that I know that I find the right girl, please let it be the one who comes out and offers me a drink of water when I arrive in the land of Haran, and let her also offer to bring water for all of my camels, and then I will know that she is the one that you have chosen to become the bride for Isaac." God smiled as the servant prayed. He already had that plan in motion. When Abraham's servant finally arrived in Haran, he came to the well of the village. It was afternoon, and all of the young women of the village were there to gather water for their families. A beautiful young girl approached him. Noticing that he was a stranger, she reached out to him and said, "You must be thirsty after your long trip. Have a drink, and I'll bring water for all of your camels as well." Abraham's servant was very grateful for the drink of water. He sat and rested as he watched the young girl bring water for his camels. He waited quietly and watched to see if she would finish the job. Was she the right girl? Is this the one that God had chosen to become the bride for Isaac? Abraham's servant was very excited because the young girl did finish the job. She did bring water for all of his camels, and he knew she was the right girl. So he brought out the gifts that he had brought for her and shared his story with her about how he had prayed and that he was on a search to find the bride for his master's son, Isaac. The young girl was very excited to hear the story. She introduced herself, telling Abraham's servant that her name was Rebecca. Her parents were Bethuel and Nahor. Her brother was Laban. And then she invited the servant to come home with them. She said, "We have plenty of space, plenty of food. You can rest and eat with my family. And then there's plenty of food and space for your camels as well." Rebecca's family welcomed Abraham's servant into their home, and they shared a wonderful dinner together. He shared the story and more gifts, and then asked Rebecca if she would be willing to return to the land of Canaan with him to become the wife of his master's son, Isaac. Rebecca said yes, she would be willing to go to the land of Canaan and to become the bride of Isaac. So she packed her bags, she said goodbye to her family, and that very same day they began their journey back to his homeland so that she could meet the man who would soon become her husband. Rebecca's mother knew she would miss her daughter very much, but she was also very proud of her. She was so excited that God had chosen her baby girl to become the wife of Abraham's son, Isaac. It was the season of the barley harvest when Rebecca arrived back in Canaan. Isaac was working in the fields, and so he saw the camels coming before they arrived. Rebecca saw him as well, and she asked Abraham's servant, "Who is that man?" And he said, "That's our master's son, Isaac." Knowing that this was the man she was to meet, she got down from her camel so she could go say hello and meet the man who would soon become her husband. Rebecca was a beautiful, kind, and loving young woman, and Isaac fell in love with her immediately. He was really glad she had made the decision to come to Canaan so that she could become his wife. He was very kind to her, and she fell in love with him too. God smiled as he watched the two of them getting acquainted. He knew she was the perfect girl for Isaac, and that's why he had chosen her to become his bride. It was many years ago when God made the promise to Abraham that he would become the father of many nations. So why does the story of Isaac and Rebecca still matter to you and still matter to me? You see, most of us don't understand how much God loves us, and he wants us to become a part of his family. That's why he made that promise to Abraham. So when we read the stories of people like Isaac and Rebecca, we can see how God takes part in our lives and that he wants to answer prayers for us about the questions we have, about the people who come into our lives and those who love us. So when you step into Bible story adventures, that's the big adventure that never ends. In the story of Isaac and Rebecca, Isaac needed a bride. Abraham's servant needed an answer about who would become that bride, and so, as he prayed, he used his camels as a point of reference, as a point of contact for God to be able to talk with him and to tell him exactly who he had in mind to become Isaac's bride. So how about you? What point of contact are you using? What circumstances are you bringing to God that he can answer prayers for you? Did you enjoy the story of Isaac and Rebekah? The circumstances of their life needed some specific answers to prayer, and God used the camels to be able to talk with Abraham's servant. So in our study plan, we're going to talk about what's in your camel pack. We'll talk about answered prayer and more about God's good plan for all of us. So thanks for taking the time to listen to our story again today. We're so glad to have you here with us at the Kataluma Adventure, and we'll see you again soon.